Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Thank you for joining me, guys. Today, well, first off, ever have one of those days where you just spend way too much time outside in the sun? That happened to me today, and boy, I realize I am an old man because all it takes is me sitting in the sun, and apparently it saps out all of my energy. I just want to be lazy all day, so I waited till around, I don't know, 11:38 p.m. to record tonight's video before it goes live for you guys the next day. So I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I have no idea why I'm starting my video like this. Just wasting your time.
I'm trying to elevate small talk to medium talk.
It's been about a year since we've done a video like this. A bunch of new champions added to the game since then. We're going to go over our favorite champions as if Plarium was to get me on the horn and say, hey, Ash, we like you, kid. We want to give you one. We're going to start a new account for you. We're going to give you one free champion, an epic, rare, and legendary on every faction. Who are your choices?
Good one.
This would be my answer to that. So let's go ahead and without further ado, let's just get to picking these champions here. Bannerlords, I'm going to give you a little bit through my thought process as if any of you even care as well. So Bannerlords, it was easy for me. It's Raglan. Raglan's amazing. She has turn meter on her A1. She has a heal based on her attack, which is kind of weird, but either way, a decent heal and a debuff removal on her A2 on a 4-turn cooldown. If it was a 3-turn cooldown, she'd be like the most OP champion in the game. She already is in the conversation because of Miracle. Revives an ally with 75% HP and full turn meter on a 2-turn cooldown. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'll take a Raglan. Thank you very much. A lot of good choices, though. A lot of good choices. All right. I'm going to go Stag Knight on my epics. It was a pretty easy, pick for me because I think Stag Knight's just incredible. He doesn't do a ton, but what he does do, he does incredibly well. Decreased speed on a 2-time hitter on an A1. I love decreased speed, one of the best debuffs in the game. If you're struggling and you don't have a decreased speed champion on your team, maybe think about adding one. Very effective, right? Anyway, attacks all enemies with a decreased defense and decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown. Thank you very much, Stag Knight. You're amazing. A lot of HP, a lot of speed, has the increased accuracy. I'm not going to go over all of these kits in their entirety, but you guys know how good this dude is. A lot of good choices here, though. I'm a big fan of Archmage Helmet, big fan of this new guy, Gizcard the Sigiled, and then Ursula the Mourner. There's a lot of choices. I went with Dagger for my rare. Dagger's a defense breaker on a 75% clip, but it is the big version on a 3-turn cooldown. There's not many rare options for decreased defense, although there's a lot more epics now, to be fair. But Dagger, I think, is nice because, again, a neutral affinity. You don't have to worry about not landing it because, of the affinity matchup. So I think that Dagger is a fantastic champion. She also puts out a sneaky amount of damage. So that is Bannerlords. Moving right along to High Elves. This is a tough one. For me, it came down to 2 champions here. There's a lot of good ones, but it came down to Lysandra and Ethos. And I'm still 50-50. I don't even know at the time of this recording who I want to go with. I think you can find a lot of nukers in this game, but you can't find many like Ethos, man. I don't have him, and boy, do I want him. But I think I'll go Lysandra. I just think she's the queen of speed, right? She has a speed aura, 24% all battles. Yes. Energized on a 4-turn cooldown with increased speed, with the turn meter depletion, with the turn meter fill. Yes. Exhaustion. Yes. Fully depletes target's turn meter on 3-turn cooldown. And
what the is going on in here on this day?
She transfers all of her debuffs from this champion to the target on the A1. She's very fast. She's very good. I love Lysandra.
You're dead to me.
High Elves, man. Let me know who you guys would go with on the High Elves. Jeez. We got Royal Guard. We got Tyrell. We got Thanasil. We got Vertus. We got maybe even Battle Sage. I'm going to go with Royal Guard, even though he did receive a nerf because of the enemy max HP. He's not being used quite as much as he used to be, but still he's one of the best nukers in the game against, up until level 20 dungeons. You can't go wrong with Takedown, and Hamstring has decreased speed and decreased turn meter, and he has the big version of decreased defense on his A1, and he has an amazing attack aura in dungeons, one of the best in the game. Can't go wrong with Royal Guard, man. You just can't go wrong. Great options here, but I'm going to go Royal Guard. And then, man, this is the toughest, right? My top 3 rare champions in the game, in order. Number 1, Coulthard. Number 2, Reliquary Tender, number 3, Apothecary. So, no offense, Apothecary, but you happen to be in the same faction as my second favorite rare champion in the game, in Reliquary Tender. She has a weak version of decreased attack on her A1, whatever. 1.5 million books on her A1, that kind of sucks, but it is rare at the end of the day. Good news is, Tender's Watch only has 2. And this ability is insane. It's insanely good. I put her in Relentless Gear, and I just love her, guys. She's endgame viable. Removes all debuffs from all allies, and then places a continuous heal, the big version, on them for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Also has a revival in her kit. Reliquary Tender. Sacred Order. Okay, so this is another real tough one on the legendaries, man. I mean, there's like 5 or 6 that you guys could make a really viable case. Abbess is one of my favorite nukers in the game. Martyr is in a league of her own. Geez, but I'm going to go with Incardial and Sir Nick. I mean, they're all so good, but I'm going to go with Venus. I think that Venus is incredibly unique. She has poison on the A1, she has HP burn on an AoE A3, and then she has an AoE decreased defense and weaken on the same ability on a 3-turn cooldown. I mean, she puts out a lot of damage, she's very fast, has a ton of HP, has one of the best HP auras in the game, and she's just doing so much. HP burn, 2 AoE attacks, decreased defense, weaken. Venus is so good. So, down to the Sacred Order. This is a tough one. For me, it comes down to maybe 4 champions. One I don't have. Sanguinia is really good. Mordecai is really good. Phoenix, I'm a huge fan of, but I gotta go with my man Deke.
Look at me now. Look at me now. Oh.
Gotta go with the Deke, man, of course. You guys already knew it. Got the leash on the A1. Got the decreased defense on the A2 on a 3-turn cooldown. Thank you very much. This guy's just... there it is.
Not that noticeable.
It's my favorite ability in the game, certainly in the running. Fills a turn meter of all allies by 15%, decreased turn meter of all enemies by 15%, grants an extra turn. Man, have you ever seen 4 words take on so much meaning and power in this game? Grants an extra turn. I love it, man. Keep it coming with more AoE decreased defenses, more leech applied to the enemy, and then he has speed in all battles by 19%. A great speed aura to really round out a tremendous champion kit. The Deke. It's gonna be the Deke. All right, so Sacred Order, guys, listen. When I get to a faction where I just don't like any of the rares, I think they're all kind of trash or they don't scale out of the early game. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys, and Sacred Order is right on the verge of that. I think that Aethel is okay, and Draconis is okay, but really I'm gonna cheat here and go with a champion who's better than both of them in Armiger, right? Uncommon champion, but still, I mean, I can't have a video like this without picking Armiger because he's that good. Decreased turn meter on his A1, and a ton of damage on a 2-turn cooldown based on enemy max HP and defense on his A2. Easy to keep alive, brings a lot to the table. I'm cheating my own video. I'm going with Armiger. Barbarians. Okay, you guys know I have a love affair with Syl the Drakes.
But I don't think so.
She's amazing. She's amazing. But, you know, I'm going to be realistic here too. I'm going to be realistic, right? I'm not going to go with a champion who's going to be free, even though I don't want to penalize her for that. But I will go with Valkyrie. I think you still go with Valkyrie overall in terms of the power index, right? She's fast. She's got a ton of defense, almost 1,600. She's got a shield on a 3-turn cooldown for 3 turns. An epic shield, a beast mode shield at that. She has counterattack. Her, Skullcrusher, and Martyr, the only 3 champions in the game with counterattack. She has a 2-hitter with decreased turn meter on an A1, which weirdly scales off of attack as well. Okay. This champion's turn meter, this jealousy passive, so annoying to go against, so amazing to have on your team. This champion's turn meter will be increased by 10% each time an enemy champion places a buff. Enemy champions will have their turn meter decreased by 10% for each buff they receive. Wow, what a great passive, what a great champion. Yeah, I'm going Valkyrie. All right. It comes down to, on the epics, for me, it comes down to 3 champions. Armina, who has a great turn meter steal and decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. Skytouch Shaman, who's one of the best healers in the game. Also an arena specialist with block debuffs and a cleanser. Put her in immunity gear, great champion. But I'm gonna go with the Fat Man. Fucker in the Fat, who one viewer left a comment. I don't know if I can dig out this comment, but someone was very offended by this name. Someone was very, very offended by them having the audacity of putting a fat character in the game. Hey man, fat people have to have a little bit of love too. They can be included in games.
If you got an issue with that, come see me. I'm about that.
Big trust. Woo woo.
Anyway, ally attack with increased crit damage and crit rate on the 4-turn cooldown is really good because the meta is shifting to ally attack in this game. Ally attack is so effective against a bunch of the new Doom Tower bosses as well. And then he has HP burn and poison on a 3-turn cooldown. He's bringing a lot to the table, this dude. Also has the strong version of decreased defense at a 50% clip on his A1. I'm going to go with the Fat Man. And then we have War Maiden. I'm going to go War Maiden, guys. I think, you know, tried and true, trusty, decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown, farmable campaign champion, but she's really good. Moving along here to Ogryn Tribe. Ogryns. Oof, this is one of the tougher ones, guys, because Ignatius is so nasty right now. 2 hard-hitting abilities, HP burn and provoke on AoEs. Yo. Gurgle the Augur's really good too for a freeze champion, but I'm gonna go with Biggin here, guys. I'm gonna go with Biggin because Biggin is a beast.
Look, I know you're a great actor, okay? But you're spitting all over me, man.
One of the best, if not the best, sheer damage champions in the game. According to the Ash Voyager, no affiliation with me, website, he can deal the most sheer damage. I don't know the metrics, but that's what it says, okay? I'm just reporting to you guys what I don't know the reasoning behind it. But he's an AoE on every attack, right? An AoE on his A1, providing the first attack is critical. On the A2 on a 3-turn cooldown, places a stun and a decreased accuracy. And then he has an AoE 2-time hit with decreased turn meter 25% and decreased speed. He is a turn meter or decreased speed or control specialist in the body of a behemoth of a nuker. Really good champion. Also has a sneaky good aura for dungeons. A 90 accuracy. That's like having more than a Great Hall maxed just by putting him in your aura lead. I'm a big fan of Biggin, guys. A lot of tough choices here, but I'm not going to narrow it down. I'm just going to go with Ugo. I think that Ugo is one of the best champions released in this game in a long time. She's a leech on the A1. The chance actually increases for each enemy alive, which is nice. And then she has this A2. Man, 3-turn cooldown when booked. Big version decreased defense on an AoE attack. Also has block buffs, for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. There's not a lot of champions out there with block buffs, let alone with block buffs and a decreased defense and an AoE attack. Dude, that's really sick. One of the better abilities in the game. The chance of placing the block buffs gets increased from a 75 by 5% for each enemy alive. So 5 enemies alive, boom, you're guaranteed to land both. Really good, and she puts out a lot of heals. Removes all heal reduction debuffs from all allies, and then another random debuff from all allies, then heals all allies by 20% of her max HP. Then she has like the unusual, you know, break in case of emergency revival in her kit as well. Ugo, man, what a tremendous champion. What a tremendous champion. And then I played it safe here, went Bellower. AoE on every attack. He has a bunch of debuffs that he brings to the table. All of them are weak versions, but it's nice to have regardless. Can be a debuffer, can be a CC champion stun set, can be a campaign farmer, can be a nuker. Bellower is a jack of all trades. Very good champion. Lizardmen. So if I'm starting my account, very tempting to go Dracomorph, but I'm going Krisk, man. Krisk the Ageless is one of the biggest difference makers you can pull for progression in the game. I told this story before the channel, but I'll tell it again. When I pulled Krisk, I was struggling with Lizardmen Faction Wars, I think stage like 18 or something, or 17. And then I got him, I put him into my team, not even in amazing gear. I didn't even do his masteries yet. And boom, I easily cleared stage 21. Like I didn't do anything else. He's so incredibly good. An AoE decreased speed on his A1, on his A2 an ally protect, to continue his heal buffs on himself, and then increase the duration of all ally buffs. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. And then has a provoke debuff on all enemies, guaranteed, increased defense on this champion, and increased speed on all allies on a 3-turn, and then he has a shield at the beginning of each round based on 50% of his max HP. Also places a decreased defense, decreased defense and a decreased attack debuff on the attacker for 1 turn when he is hit. and look at his base defense. He's one of the best champions in the game. You can make an argument he's the best champion in the game. I have a soft spot for Jareg. I think that Jareg is a really good champion, an underrated epic champion. On his A1, he has a decreased attack. On his A2, an ally protect and an increased defense on a 4-turn cooldown, and then a really good passive here, guys. Plays a continuous heal buff on an ally for 1 turn whenever an ally loses 20% of their max HP in 1 hit. That's a lot of healage that he can bring to the table, and then has HP in all battles, same as Venus, by 33%. A great aura, ton of HP. A lot of people put him in a shield set as well. Very effective, very good champion in Jareg. All right, so what am I looking at here? Metal Shaper. I was gonna say they're all trash, but I forgot about my man Metal. So Metal Shaper, all you need to know about him, is the fortified steel ability. Especially for Scarab King, we're looking for champions with shield on a 2-turn cooldown for 2 turns, or on a 3-turn cooldown for 3 turns, right? Very, very rare, but very good to have. Like Lodric, Valkyrie, Metal Shaper, there's not that many champions in the game who have this. Very nice to always have that shield up, especially, again, against the Scarab King. Also removes all debuffs from an ally with lowest HP, then heals this ally by 20% of this champion's max HP, places an increased defense buff on the target for 3 turns. Weak version, but a 4-turn cooldown. Not too bad. So that's Metal Shaper. I think that he's the best of your options there. Skinwalkers. Dude, Coronar. This guy, when I pulled him, I was like kind of fake excited. I was like, yeah, I got him. And I was like, I don't know, am I going to use him? You ever have a champion like that? You're like, you get excited and then you're like, oh, am I going to really use this? But he's really good, man. The thing about Coronar is he puts out a sneaky amount of damage, man. I used him on like one of the enemy or ally HP secret rooms on Doom Tower Hard. I just used him as a matter of fact. He's my damage leader, and I have all of these champions, you know? He's easily my damage leader on that team. Attack all enemies, has a 50% chance of decreasing each target's turn meter by 5%, attacks all enemies 2 times instead of 1, and a chance of decreasing each target's turn meter if Manaya is on the same team. But the cool synergy here is, even though it's a turn meter by 5%, check it out over here. Ferocious Guard is first passive. Counterattacks when hit by enemies under decreased attack, decreased defense, or decreased speed debuffs. So he's doing so many counterattacks because, you know, most teams have a lot of these debuffs already on their team. He has also a provoke, he has a block debuffs and an increased defense on himself, and then he has an AoE attack with a decreased attack and a decreased defense debuff on targets under decreased attack on a 4-turn cooldown. He's doing a lot, he's bringing a lot to the table. He also has increased defense on all allies for 2 turns if this champion kills an enemy. Very unique, a ton of HP, 27k, one of the highest in the game. Man, a lot of turn meter control on that A1. We spent a lot of time on Coronar, but he's just like, every time I use him, I find myself liking him more and more. All right, in terms of the Skinwalker epics here, we're gonna go with Steel Skull. It's a safe choice, one of the fastest epics in the game at 111 speed, especially for a big fella. I think it's a male. Yeah, it's a male. All right, we have a poison on the A1. We have a cleanse and a 40% heal on a 3-turn cooldown, a great heal on cleansing spell with a cleanse on the A2. And then we have an increased defense on all allies for 2 turns, and it heals all allies by 20% of their max HP on a 4-turn cooldown. One of the better healers in the game, really important for Skinwalker's faction crypts as well. Really good against clan boss as well. So he's bringing a lot to the table. I think he's a safe choice. I'm gonna go Greybeard here. Although he's borderline, but he's a good rare champion. He's slow, he has good defense, his damage is based on defense, he has an AoE attack with a 40% chance of placing a freeze for 1 turn. Not too bad on a 3-turn cooldown. This is based on defense again. He also has a shield on this champion for 2 turns, and then a 100% chance when booked of placing a counterattack, which is nice because his A1 has a provoke. So he's counterattacking into provoking. So there's a lot of CC in his kit in addition to just the freeze. So I think that Greybeard's, and he's a 100% farmable champion as well. So I think he's a solid champion. Let's go, and I built him out too. So we just did Lizardmen. Let's go to the Orcs, guys. So Orcs, oof. It comes down to Creela, Iron Brago, or Warlord. and I'm gonna go Warlord. I think that Warlord's just so good. But man, all three of those champions, in my eyes, are top 20 legendary champions. On his A1, has a chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1 turn. You love to see it. On the A2, block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn. This is on a 3-turn cooldown. Then places a shield buff on all allies equal to 30% of this champion's max HP, and then heals them by 5% of their max HP. A great support ability. He has a lot of base HP as well, and he's fast. On the A3 though, on a 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, has a 100% chance when booked of putting all those skills on cooldown of all the targets. Wow, you guys have probably gone against him in the arena. It's not fun to go against, right? And then again here we have a 50% chance to fully deplete each target's turn meter as well, making a 60% chance, my bad, when he's fully booked. Very, very good champion in Warlord. You can't go wrong, right, with any of these champions that I mentioned. On the Orcs, you guys know me. I love Seer too much to even think about giving it to Vrask or Sandlash Survivor or, it's really Duck the Pierce though. Zargala. There's so many good options here, guys. Who would you go with? I go Seer. I love Seer. Seer is the best wave nuker in the game, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Karma Burn, it does so much damage. It's doing 750,000 damage now against level 25 dungeon mobs. She just makes things so more efficient, so much more fast, and especially against Doom Tower Waves when they have 1,000,000 buffs up on the enemy team, it removes them all, so you don't even have to worry about them. You don't even have to worry about all those buffs. I think Seer's so incredibly good, but there's, oh man, I think that Duck the Pierce is definitely a game changer as well. That's a tough one, guys. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Galek as my choice because, honestly, there's not many good options for Orc rare champions in the game. Yeah, there's not. I guess it would be Galek, and even then, he's probably my least favorite of the 4 starting champions, although he's not a trash champion. So there you go, Galek. Demonspawn. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is tough. How many times is this guy gonna say it's tough? So I love Drexstar. I love Countess Lix. I love Tyrant. I love Kanderfon. I love... dude, Demonspawn has to have the best crop of legendaries. Kymar. Sissia is one of the best nukers now. Okay, these guys, whatever. But man, how can you not go with Duchess? Duchess is one of the best support champions in the game, guys. Can use her anywhere. She's so incredibly good. She's so hard to get rid of. She has a shield on the ally with lowest HP on the A1. On the A2, increase attack, block debuffs for 2 turns, and then a perfect veil on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Perfect veil decreases the amount of damage allies received from AoE attack. Can I speak today? Can I ever speak? Really? From AoE attacks by 15%. Spit it out, Ash! So Perfect Veil, a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people just think the champions are invisible. Now, they get minus 15% damage from AoE attacks if they're under that Perfect Veil. Also, a 4-turn revival revives all dead allies with 70% HP. A Veil on all allies except this champion for 1 turn. Continuous heal buff on all allies, not just the revived ones, for 2 turns as well. One of the better revivals in the game. And decreases the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25%, in addition to all those veils, or perfect veils, and then 15% from bosses. Wow, she also has speed by 19% in all battles. I mean, does it get better than Duchess for a support champion? There's not many in the game better than her. I would start out with her. A lot of insane choices here for Demonspawn, but I really do think that Allure has really carved out a niche for herself as one of the best epics in the game. Really, like one of the best epics in the game, certainly because of her A1. It's so unique. But that's all we don't even have to talk about the rest of her kit. She doesn't deal a ton of damage. She does have the weak version of decrease defense, but attacks 3 times, decrease the target's turn meter by 25% on each hit. So good against, almost every Doom Tower boss, almost every boss in the game. Fire Knight especially, she is SSS tier along with Cold Heart. maybe Lysandra, but really Allure and Koltar, I think, are the two best Fire Knight, the quintessential Fire Knight champions in this game. Allure is so good because of that A1 Psychic Whip. Diabolus is actually going to be my pick here for Demonspawn Rare. She's actually a good champion, guys. On her A1, she's asleep. On her A2, an AoE with an increased speed on all allies. This is on a 3-turn cooldown here, guys. So an AoE attack with the increased speed, and then a fills a turn meter of all allies, decreased turn meter of all enemies by 15%. So again, kind of like a mini Lysandra, and she has the same speed as Lysandra, and she's campaign farmable at 110 speed. So very good champion in Diabolist. Undead Horde. So this is a tough one as well.
3, 2, 1, drop it.
Every single legendary faction. So I think that the majority of you guys would go with Siphi here. Am I right? You'd go Siphi. I think Siphi's the safe choice. But we're not about the safe choice on this channel, guys. I'm actually a big fan of Nekret the Great as well. But I think that Nekret's so incredibly good. Mashald's really good. I was gonna be cute in Rotos, obviously. I was gonna be cute and go with Bad Alcazar, and I think I will. The thing is Siphi's really good, but when they change this Whirlwind Romance from a 5-turn cooldown to a 6, basically when booked is no longer on a 3-turn cooldown, I think she's still one of the best champions in the entire game, but I also think that Bad Al is one of the best champions in the entire game. Bad Alcazar is an old school legacy champion, so I think that people kind of take him for granted. Maybe, maybe not, maybe people do realize, but man, he has a small heal on his A1 AoE attack. But Malice is just so incredibly good, guys. Removes all debuffs from all allies. You guys know, harkening back to Reliquary Tender, I'm a big fan of cleanses on a 3-turn cooldown. Also has not 1 but 2 continuous heals, making him one of the better healers in the game on a 3-turn cooldown. And then 2 poisons on all enemies for 2 turns. This is all on a 3-turn cooldown? Jeez. And then Prey Upon, one of the better offensive passives in the game. All allies inflict 20% more damage against targets under poison debuffs. Battlegazar is so good, guys. But you really can't go wrong, right? In any of these, even Nethril. I don't know. I'm not gonna talk about it for 20 minutes. I'm gonna go Battlegazar, I think. I'm starting an account. Siphi though. Ooh, with the revival. Am I being an idiot? Am I trying to get too cute here, guys?
You are hot.
I don't know, maybe. Gorgorab Seeker, Dark Elhain, Vogoth, but I'm going to give it to the Mage. Mausoleum Mage is really good. He's fast, first of all. On his A2, he has an increased crit rate, okay, whatever, but increased defense and block debuffs on all allies on a 3-turn cooldown. Very good. Amazing synergy with Seer, but just very good support champion in general. And then has a cleanse and a heal on a 4-turn cooldown. He's doing so much, guys. He's bringing so much to the table. Definitely one of the best, if not the best, epic support champions in the game. I'm going to go with Frozen Banshee. To me, she's the obvious choice for best rare champion. She's one of the only champions in the game still, there's not that many, with poison sensitivity. And she also places a poison as well. So a poison on the A1, provided the target is under poison sensitivity. And then again, poison sensitivity, very effective against clan boss, especially on a 3-turn cooldown when it lasts for 2 turns. So Frozen Banshee, I think, is the obvious choice here. Yeah, there's a couple other callouts, but to me, it's Frozen Banshee and not that close. All right, Dark Elves. I'm losing my voice here, guys. Need to crack open a, what do you do when you're sunburned and exhausted? You crack open a GFUEL. Thanks to GFUEL for being a proud channel sponsor here. They've actually been a really great company to work with. So shout out to GFUEL. You can get 10% off when you use my code ASH in the description below. All right, so Dark Elves. Ghostborn. You would have thought that I would have chosen all these champions before we started the video, and I did, but I'm gonna break the rule that I said the reason I wouldn't choose Syl the Drix. No, I'm gonna go Xavier. I was gonna go Vizix, but Xavier, the only legendary I don't have in Dark Elves. Maybe I'm a little bitter, maybe, but Xayvia is like the queen of speed runs, and I know it's not all about speed, but there's something incredibly powerful and amazing about Xayvia. Attacks all enemies, each hit has a 50%, make it 75 to place a poison for 2 turns, and that's a 2-time hitter on a 3-turn cooldown, guys. And then attacks all enemies, enemies block revival, and then deals damage from all poison debuffs on the target instantly. Poison debuffs will deal half damage of the standard damage when hit against bosses. But man, I've never seen anybody clear any sort of waves other than Seer like Xayvia. Xayvia is definitely high on my most wanted list. There's a billion or maybe like 5 great choices here. And I didn't purposely, I guess if I had to start with any champion, I'd go with Lydia. But I'm not really including her because she's, you know, faction ward champion. So we'll go Xayvia outside of Lydia. Dark Elves, Epics. I'm gonna go with Sylar. Sylar is one of those champions. Madame Ceres is incredibly good as well, so it's hard to even have a conversation between the two. But Sylar for me is one of those champions that unless you invest in her, you really probably don't know how good she really is. She's really good, and I waited a while before investing in her as well. An AoE on the A1. A2, decrease accuracy on a 3-turn cooldown. So 2 AoE attacks, and then leaden legs. Decrease speed, and decrease turn meter by 40% on a 4-turn cooldown. She has turn meter, she has decreased accuracy, and she has 2 strong AoEs in her kit. She's bringing a lot to the table here, guys. I think that Sylar is a very, very good offensive and control champion in this game. Madame Ceres is really, really good though too. Madame Ceres for the arena, you can't get better than Midnight Ritual ability. Even with it lasting for only 2 turns instead of 3 turns, it's still one of the better abilities in the game. So you can't go wrong with either of those champions. I want to give a shout out to Sylar. She's really, really good, guys. Lou is really good as well. For Dark Elves, you guys already know, Coulthart, she's my #1 rare champion in the game. I just did a guide on her yesterday. Check out the video, guys. I'm really excited about her in Reflex Gear. She has one of the best abilities in the game in Heartseeker. 100% turn meter manipulation, yes, thank you very much. Knight's Revenant, excuse me. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you guys here. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go with Hegemon. Hegemon is a champion that I wish I really had, man. He's an arena difference maker. He always goes first every round. If you have him, then you have a secret weapon, right, in the arena. You can build him out to be an OP nuker, but you can also build him with a lot of accuracy, as most people do, to block active skills. A 50% chance at blocking all active skills. It's one of the best. He's one of the best, if not the best, arena champions in the game. However, Whirlwind Frost King is actually really good right now, guys. With an AoE decreased crit damage, decreased accuracy, cannot be resisted, and then a strengthen and increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. One of the best auras for Doom Tower and 40%. Yeah, Whirlwind Frost King. Check out my updated guide on him because he's right there as well. This might be a Xayvia situation where I'm giving it to Hegemon because I really want him and I don't have him. Tomb Lord also deserves a shout out as a great option. For Knight's Revenant on the Epic side, we're gonna go with tried and true miscreated monster. This dude's a beast. He has decreased defense and a stun on his A1. He has a stun on an AoE with an amazing shield for 3 turns, equal to 25% of the damage inflicted on a 3-turn cooldown. Dude, what a beast. Ally Protect, heals on himself, continuous heal on himself for 3 turns as well. A great Ally Protect, a great support champion, a great control champion, and then place a fear debuff on the attacker for 1 turn whenever they attack an ally while under his Ally Protect. So moving on to the rares here, guys, we're gonna give it to Renegade. Renegade is a Void Affinity champion. She's a very unique sacrificial ritual on her A3. Decreases the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns. The skill does not affect this champion or other champions. This champion will receive damage equal to 30% of their max HP, even if it kills her. But really, there's not a lot of options in this game for the decreased cooldown of ally skills. It's one of the strongest abilities in the game. That's what makes Renegade so unique, especially as a rare champion with that ability. Moving on to Dwarves here. So there's like 3 or 4 options. A lot of good legendary dwarves here. Under Priest Brogni, very, very good. Trunda, one of the better nukers. And Tormund, just one of the better overall champions. I'm going to give it to Trunda though, because I still think she is the best nuker in the game. With Forge Rhythm is an amazing ability. With accuracy, you can stun and HP burn. Without accuracy, a double hitter on one of the strongest nuking abilities in the game. Speaking of strongest nuking abilities in the game, her A2 hits like a truck. Attack attacks one enemy, I think this is a 7 or a 6 multiplier on that first hit, and then deals 60% damage to all other enemies with a second hit. Trunda is a beast, and she has a lot of HP as well in a high base speed. A very, very, very good champion. You can't go wrong. On Dwarf Epics, Geomancer's really good. He's a new champion just added to the game, has an AoE with decreased accuracy on his A1, has a remove all buffs from a target enemy, then attacks them, steals all buffs instead if they're under HP burn, reduces the cooldown of his A3 if the target is killed and has HP burn. His A3 is on a 3-turn cooldown, fully depletes the target's turn meter, fills his champion's turn meter by the amount the target loses, has a 100% chance of placing an HP burn and a weaken on the target for 3 turns. It's on a 3-turn cooldown, guys. Man. Stone Guard is passive, decrease the damage all allies receive by 15% and deflects that damage onto the enemy while under an HP burn debuff placed by this champion. Whenever this champion is attacked, deflects 30% of the damage instead. Geomancer is really, really good. But Jarl is really good too. I gotta give a shout to Grizzly Jarl. He has a block debuff and increased defense, similar to Mausoleum Mage on a 3-turn cooldown. You're just missing the increased crit rate, whatever. And then he has an AoE decrease attack on his A3 on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, with a decrease each target's max HP. Man, it's a coin flip between those two champions. But I just want to give a shout to one of the new guys in Geomancer. On the rares, to me, it's not even close. I think Khazar Deepheart is the option here because he puts out a lot of damage, right? A 2-hitter if the first attack is critical. The extra hit places a decreased speed. We love to see decreased speed on the A1s. An AoE attack, each critical hit fills his champion's turn meter by 7.5. It feels it too. It feels it really strong. And then on the A3, an increased accuracy on all allies for 2 turns, and then attacks all enemies. Again, dealing a lot of damage here. Decent multipliers with the weak version of decreased defense as well. He's bringing a lot to the table. This is a 3-turn cooldown as well as the AoE on the A2. Khazar Deepheart, really good champion. And then Shadowkin, our last faction. The video is almost over already. I actually feel like I have much more energy when I start today's video. So Jintoro's really good. I'm actually using him in Clan Boss. Yoshi's underrated for the arena, but Riho Bone Spear is really, really good. On the A1, she's going to be my choice, by the way. Continuous heal buff on the ally with the lowest HP for 1 turn. Also, the weak version on all allies with 30% HP or less for 1 turn. Cool. Look at this. On a 3-turn cooldown, attacks 1 target in places. Stun, HP burn, decreased defense, weaken, decreased attack, and decreased crit rate. What? This is the best debuff ability in the game on a single target, right? Incredible. On the A3, on a 3-turn cooldown, removes all debuffs from all allies and then places a block debuffs for 2 turns. Also heals all allies by 35% of their max HP and a further 5% for each debuff removed from them. Perfect Body is an insane ability, guys. This is a really, really good kit. She's an incredible champion. When receiving any debuff, instantly transfers them from this champion to the attacker. Okay. Good God, man. She's really, really good. Riho Bone Spear. Sign me up, right? There's a lot of good Shadowkin epic options. Just a couple shoutouts. Tagari is really good. Hatasu is really, really good. Decreased attack on a 3-turn cooldown. He has an increased defense and continuous heal on a 3-turn cooldown as well. We have Sachi is pretty good as well. Shani is really good. Man. This guy's really good. Buragari, an AoE attack with a 60% stun on a 3-turn cooldown, a strengthen on all allies for 2 turns, a shield buff on them as well on a 4-turn cooldown, and then heals his champion by 50% of their max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. Dude, really good choices here. I mean, Oboro does a ton of damage. A guide coming out soon for her on the channel. But I'm going to give it, now that I've mentioned every single freaking champion in the faction, I'm going to give it to Genbo the Dishonored, man. I don't have him, but boy do I want him. This dude deals a ton of damage. He has the secret Forward combo grants an extra turn on his A3 on a 4-turn cooldown, places an increased crit rate, increased crit damage on himself for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn, brings him back into his 3-turn cooldown on his A2, an AoE that hits really hard, 100% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs by 1 turn, and the effect cannot be resisted on critical hits, okay, and then attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit steals any increased attack buffs, okay. The increased attack buff steal cannot be resisted. Each hit also has a 30% chance, make it a 50% chance of stealing 1 random buff when booked. A lot of books being the downside, but this guy's really good. He's also immune to decreased attack debuffs and will ignore unkillable buffs when attacking under an increased attack buff. Whew. Speed in arena battles by 20%, so a good speed arena lead as well. And again, did I mention he hits very, very hard? Can't wait to try him out when I do pull him someday. So guys, that concludes the video. Let me know which champions you think I snubbed and which champions you agree with that I went down on the list. Thank you for watching all the way till the end of the video. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day, and as always, take care, guys.